That's what I'm going to attempt to use. Let's see how well this works. The mounting pieces there, whatever they're called, but it's, I mean, as you can see, it's already taken a few beatings. This is just my test one. I printed it at like 5%, so you know, it's nothing special. I'll probably end up doing a better one later, but for now we're just doing some testing. And this here basically goes underneath there, kind of on both sides there, and I've cut out where I've raised the ESC. I can fit everything in there like so. Get it all lined up and we're good to go. Just button it down. Now, this is an old body. It's one of the PVC bodies that come from Red Cat, so I don't really care too much about it. Maybe one of these days we'll upgrade another one. I don't know. I've had to raise the ESC over here to fit my 8,000 milliamp battery in here. What I'm going to do is I'm probably going to put some spacers, maybe even these in there, just to kind of raise it up a little bit and fasten it down correctly. Eventually I'll 3D print something different where I can raise this up properly and have room for the battery as well. I've taken off the, wherever the thing is there, the thing that holds the battery. I got it hanging up on the shelf or whatever. What these are the bushings that come out of your steering. These are your steering, I don't know what they're called, blocks or whatever, and they just have bushings in it. So we're just doing simple little upgrades here to the Cat. That's what you have on each one of these. You got one on each side, and this will vastly improve the performance of the Cat, and I'll show you what I mean here in just a minute. So let me get this part back together and we'll start kind of going over what that will do and why it does what it does. So let me get this part back together and we'll go from there. Get all my pieces here. That's what I do with the other one. There it is. So these are all pretty simple to kind of take apart and put back together. I'm pretty sure many people even new can kind of get the concept of that. Because what started all this is I don't like the slop on this here. It's got a lot of movement, but I can't take it all out, and I knew that. And they're cheap parts and all that jazz, so I'm okay with it for now. As long as I can get some better performance out of it, I think that'll be a win. So that's what we're going to try here. We're just going to try to increase what we already have. See where we can go with it. Switch over to my screwdriver here so I don't get too tight. Okay, now that's too tight. See, it's pretty easy to do too. You don't want to have it so tight that it won't move. And that takes out a lot of the slop. Okay, so I think some of the slop was coming from these here, which these are nothing more than bushings. And again, I've replaced them with some of these that I ordered. I think it was like $2 or $3 for a set of 10 of them or whatever. So let me get the wheel on here and I will show you how much better it moves than the other side. Just a second here. I don't like to line them up with this stuff. I do wish Red Cat and others would kind of change that, but that's something I all seem to want to do. I'm not liking that right there either. That's fitting on way too tight. I'm going to clean that out just a little bit here. Just to give it a little better clearance. See if we can tell why it's so tight. I don't remember them being that tight in the beginning anyway, but maybe they were and I just kind of dealt with it. I don't know. Sometimes I'm a little more forgiving on Red Cat than many people are, because I do have some models that are fantastic. Maybe that's why I am the way I am on it. I don't know. This one here is definitely not wanting to flip the right way. This is the first time that I've taken off the front wheels here, so maybe my son was having that problem before and he just never said anything. Because he don't know the difference. Honestly, he was just playing with it whenever I would get him outside, and that was kind of the whole point. You know, we tried to get him outside. It's my son with the autism. And, he enjoyed it for a minute, but anybody that knows or has a kid that has autism knows exactly what I'm talking about. They lose interest pretty quick. So I'm going to check something here because I'm not liking where the bearing's sitting on the back or the front for that matter. So I thought, let me see if I have some better bearings here, because these are supposed to be the correct fit for that, but they don't seem like they're quite what I'm looking for. So let me dig these things out. Those are a little closer, kind of, but not really. We've got it. I have a lot of bearings to go over here. I order quite a bit because I repair a lot. And that's tight. I like that. Let's see if it's the same size as that though. Okay, so we have a winner there. Make sure you can get that on camera there. So there's the one that we're going to end up using. If I can get it to focus, come on. Alright, it's basically the same as the bushing, and it does have the inner circumference is the same as well. So those should be, yeah, much better fit. Okay. Alright. My washer on. And then we'll go ahead and cinch it up. I'm going to get it pretty tight here because I want to kind of pull in the pin as well. Now, okay, so this is what I wanted to show you. Let me make sure you can see this on camera. So look at this tire over here. I'm going to spin it around just a little bit. Back up the camera so you can kind of tell what I'm talking about. This is the one with the bearings in it. Watch how long this spins. Pretty free, right? Just a barely a spin. Now, watch the bushing side. Look at that. Here we go. At least 3 seconds longer on this side. That's why I'm doing this. It reduces friction by quite a bit. These are great because they kind of hold their tolerance and they're good for, you know, filling in the gaps, that kind of thing. They don't rust when you get in the water and stuff like that, so you know they're kind of waterproofy, I guess you would say. Bearings, sometimes you have to take them out or re-grease them in the truck, or however you want to do it. There's many different ways to do it. That's the downside of them. So when you got a cheaper company like Red Cat, they're going to most likely use bushings because they can get away with saying the truck is fully waterproof, blah blah blah. But when you're looking to kind of do a little bit more with the truck, some of these simple upgrades will help you out a lot. So I'm going to do the next wheel here, and then we'll move on to the back. Alright, so the back side here is a little bit different. So we got our wheel off now. Make sure you guys can see all that. Okay, and the bottom here, we're taking the wheel spindle or whatever off. See, you got a dog bone that comes out. Okay, this is a good time to check and inspect and make sure they're straight, nothing's broke. But you also have these little pins. Now these pins go in down here in the bottom, like so. Kind of mark it up there and I'll show you. So they go in the bottom down here, like so. And then you have a set screw right here that would go on the end right next to it, that would lock it in once it's in place and through the bottom here. So it's a little bit different setup, but the principle is the same. And you pull your out drive or whatever this is called, hub or whatever, and see it's already got some wear right there. So I wish I had another one to throw on here. I would, but I don't think I have any more right now. And that'll still be fine, but that's probably due to where I've got brushless power on it now and it's not used to that. So in the back here, I'm just going to pop this part off there, and we're going to dig out, looks like 2 bushings on that one as well. So we're going to dig those out just by poking them through like we did on the last one. And all I'm using is a pick. You can use, whatever you like. I think a pick's pretty easy. Screwdriver works sometimes too. And there's one of them already out. And then the other side here, we'll just use a screwdriver because it'll be a lot easier. Bam. So just inspect everything when you pull it out. Make sure that you don't have any more problems to deal with. I already had some bearings sitting out somewhere, I thought. Maybe I moved them. Nope. Alright, so we're going to need 4 more bearings total. Put these up so I don't lose them. I'm sure I'll need them again later for another model. And then again, put it in there like so. Now these bearings aren't the blue sealed ones, but they're basically the same thing on each side. So I don't really worry too much about which way to go. You see how it seats right in there? And then you're going to have your whatever this is here, come right through there. Bam. We got most of it kind of put on there. I just wanted to show you this part here. So basically you just kind of feed that through and it's going to run somewhat flush. And then you see right next to it, if I can get this thing to focus on me. There you go. It doesn't like to focus very well, guys. Then you're going to take this screw and run it back in like so. I'm just going to kind of mock it up there real quick so you can see where the location is. There's the pin right there and the screw right next to it. So I'm going to get this back together, and then we're going to put the hub or the hex and stuff back on it. Now this little screw that I'm putting in here, its only purpose is to retain the pin, so you don't have to crank this down. You just get it to where it's snug and it's not going to come out. That's all you're looking to do. That's it right there. You don't need to go power hungry and smash it on and all that jazz. No, don't do that. And then get my wheel turned here a little bit. Alright, and then these are our cheesy little hexes, but they actually do a good job, so I haven't replaced them yet. Throw these on, cinch it up pretty good right there, and we'll put the tire back on, and when I tighten everything back up with the nut and everything, it should bring it in a little bit more and snug it up pretty good. Now I'm using this little bitty wrench. You can use something better if you like, but this is all I had on hand for this little cat. I think one of my bigger ones will fit it, but I honestly didn't even look. Now, some future upgrades that I'm going to do to this, I'm probably going to have to 3D print some stuff, because I want a specific tray on the top here, so I'm going to be coming up with something for that as well. Now all I really have left to do is this one side, and then that's pretty much it. So let me get to that here, and then I'll show you the difference of how everything is now versus before. Okay, I wanted to come back on here real quick to kind of show you something that I thought was pretty funny. So on this side, which would be the driver's side, the retainer screw for the pin here, I don't know what you would call it, hinge pin or whatever, on the arm, on the lower arm, is on the inside. Now if you look on the opposite side, it's on the outside. I've never taken these arms off, and my son had this before me. I know he never took them off. So I don't know if they came that way from the factory or if it's supposed to be that way. It looks like the arm itself, you could flip it over if you really wanted to, so I don't know if there's a benefit to that or whatever, but I might flip it around just because I don't know if it does anything or not. I'm going to look at it first. I may just leave it. We'll just see how it looks there. I'm going to kind of get a look at it real quick. Alright, so I wanted to bring in a little bit closer here. So if you look at the arm itself, see how it has the cutout here on the top? On the opposite side, it has the same cutout there. So I believe that design is supposed to be that way for the top. So maybe it's not on there wrong. It's just kind of weird that they would put the retainer on the inside on one arm, but then on the outside on the other arm. Unless these are two arms that are, you know, kind of the same side or whatever. Which is kind of weird, but you know, it's also showing me that they're interchangeable. So only thing you're really going to have to worry about is the retainer screw on the inside or outside. I mean, it's not really that big a deal, but I just thought it was kind of interesting to say the least. Okay, we're going to set this to the side for now because we're going to work on some shocks. So we're going to check the oil on it and most likely refill it. I'm going to do 2 of these, and then I'll do the other 2 off camera because they're basically the same thing. So let me get this set down here and we'll get to it. Alright, so just like with any other shock, you just pull the spring down, pull the retainer down, and pull it out. Pull the spring off. There you go. Pretty simple, you know, especially on a 10 scale stuff. Pretty easy to get to. And this is how they're supposed to be on these cheapy plastic threaded bodies. Just, you know, kind of pull it apart by hand. Should be pretty easy. And then it's going to have a cap with a washer on it, just like that. Glue is about right here, but let's see how good or bad it looks. Oh yeah, that's nasty. So it's looking pretty nasty, pretty bad. Let's see how thin it feels. That's pretty thin. I don't know what they use, but on 10 scale they use like 27.5 or whatever. So let me see what I actually have here before I speak too loudly. Made by Lucas Oil. Pretty good stuff. So I'm gonna get this out of here. It's drained pretty good. I'll set it down. But these are pretty cheap. These are like $5, $6 or whatever. And what I always do is I'll fill them up pretty good, and then I'll run my shaft up and down a few times. I'll show you here in just a second. Just kind of get some of the oil or some of the air out. So I usually hold it in here, run it up and down until it comes to the top, back down. I do that till I don't see any more air bubbles, which right now I'm not seeing hardly any at all. And you'll notice it has a little bit of a, it kind of went down a little bit and has a little concave. That's kind of like what I really want it to be. Alright, so we're going to take these out now. Doesn't matter which one you put on here, they're, you know, caps are the same. I'm just going to, normally I put them on together, but I'm going to kind of show you what I'm doing here. So see how it has the O-ring there? A good time again to check and make sure nothing's damaged or gone bad. Just kind of push it down and you'll see it doesn't really seat in there, it just kind of sits on the top. And then you put your cap on and screw it on. Again, you just want to get this stuff finger tight. It's got a seal, so let's see. That's pretty good right there. Just, you know, somewhat snug. Make sure it's going to have full travel. See how it's wanting to come back up right there? That's actually good. Now me, I'm kind of meticulous. I like to clean a little bit. But I don't want to clean too much, especially on a plastic shock, because these are going to eventually get replaced. Then I'll just kind of put everything back on. If the spring strip feels like it's a little spongy, you can kind of stretch them out a little bit. See how it gives it a little more room. I'm not going to do too much on this one because I don't really need it in the back. It feels pretty good already. But that's pretty much it for one shock. So the last thing I'm going to do, we're going to talk about a couple other things here, but last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these two screws out. They're kind of long, and I'm going to put a spacer or something in between there to kind of get it to stand up a little bit because I want room for that battery. It'd be nice if I could put the battery holder back on there, but that's not going to happen. There's just not enough room in there. That's what I'm going to attempt to use. Let's see how well this works. See if maybe I can get enough clearance to get it up. Like so. That may be enough. Let's check it out. Just want to see how it fits. If it fits, if it screws down, all that jazz. Okay, so it does screw down, and that's pretty good actually. I like that. So it doesn't screw in too far, which, you know, like I said, I'm going to print something later that should match up to this, but for now, this is what I got. So I'm going to snip the other side and then we'll put it all back together here. Alright, so we got it down in there now, and as you can see, we have a little piece there, around here, and we have the same on the opposite side, right there. But again, I'm going to try to kind of play around with this now, see how well it does, see if I like the setup on it. If I do, we'll just keep going further, and then we'll get metal shocks and all the other jazz that I was talking about before. Get rid of that crappy servo and the servo saver that's in there. I'm not a fan of those. And we'll put something real in there. So that's kind of the next steps if everything works out pretty good. So thanks guys.